All right, welcome back to another edition of the Sports Tech Atlanta Seed Talk podcast. Today, joined by our friend Neve Clark. Neve, how are you doing this Friday?
I'm doing great. I mean, still in Miami. Weather has been pretty good. A little bit of thunderstorms, but that's okay. We've got game day on campus. It's Miami versus Gators. Everyone better be rooting for Miami because we're gonna win. So it's been good. How are you?
I am good. That is exciting. I only had game day once in on campus. It was kind of like a half game day, if you will. Anyways, so
Mm.
excited for you. Excited for you to be able to partake in that. Yeah, I feel like you guys should win. You're
Oh, we're
Florida's.
like lined up to win. We beat obviously USF, and then USF beat the Gators, so we should be winning. We will be
Yeah,
winning.
yeah. Hopefully. Never know. Things can.
True.
It's college football, so anything can kind of go. So.
True. I just need
Um,
I just need no rain delays. No more rain delays. Those are awful.
yeah, didn't y'all have you had like a lightning delay, right?
Yeah, we had lightning for an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
Tough. It's just tough to like restart.
And
People in
then
the
get to the
stands have
lunchtime.
been
Yeah.
drinking for a while. It's a tough thing there.
Yeah. Agreed.
We'll get into a few kind of tech stories. It's been a little slow as we come out of the summer. I feel like it's always kind of like this in the fall. Things slow down a little bit in terms of news. The sports, it's the biggest time for sports, right? Football's
Yeah.
started, basketball's about to start, baseball's about to get into their postseason. So tech news tends to kind of slow down here towards until the end of the year. Um, but in big time news out of Meta, as they have partnered with Oakley to launch their Oakley Meta Vanguard Performance AI glasses, which are built for high intensity sports. Pretty crazy integrations, right? Also with like Garmin and Strava. What did you think about these? Did you see the launch and everything there?
I think, well, firstly, the launch was super cool, and I think the way they've marketed this product, it's obviously it's flashy, it's cool, it's everyone wants it. I personally love this partnership because the sunglasses and glasses is a very different, unique type of wearable. Like we got the Aura, Garmin, whatever, but having the glasses, like I always think like NFL, like this is maybe Miami, like they're practicing outdoors. If they've got like
Mhm.
glasses on, you can like see and understand like your stats, your data, your distance. It's just a different way to wear it. And I think it's like it's also that mix of fashion and tech, which we see a lot these days, especially integrated in sports. It's like this swish, you're gonna look great. I think it's a really cool thing. And I mean, Oakley was the perfect partnership, but I kind of had a feeling they would be obviously all over this because it's Oakley. They want to be the forefront of this industry. And
Mhm.
so Meta being in the back, obviously, is the tech power boost making it make sense. I love it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think to your point, Oakley feels like the right partnership because like run clubs have become so
Yeah.
popular here, right? And getting, especially if you're going to go for these high intensity or action sports, like it feels kind of a perfect kind of marriage there. And yeah, I mean, I feel as they, I'm sure as they build this out from a sport perspective, there's going to be so many integrations. Like I wore Oakley's in baseball, right? So that was,
Yeah.
that was like the big glasses at that time. I don't know what guys wear now, but like, yeah, it just feels like there's so many things that you're going to be able to kind of utilize this for in terms, and to your point, like when you're practicing, you're out in the sun, especially Florida, Georgia, where I'm from,
Yeah.
like it's yeah, you need some of that extra data to understand like how are you performing and what is your optimal performance, like peak.
Yeah.
And so yeah, really, really cool to kind of be able to see that. And yeah, I'll read this really quickly. You're able to kind of see obviously your pace and the specific updates right in real time.
Yeah.
And to your point, the integration with Garmin and Strava really gives you that very impactful kind of baseline of your metrics. So really cool there. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I do. I am actually a little shocked. You said something interesting there. I want to ask you about because you are in run clubs.
Yes.
The yeah the fashion of this is interesting to me because
Yes.
I don't find I imagine these are very like they're good to wear but I don't see these as like a true fashion kind of
Yeah.
thing. Am I wrong there or am I?
I can see like the two sides of it because you got like the one side of athletes and people who like the fashion, it's like their culture, it's their language, and like they have some of the outfit, the tunnel walks, what people are wearing, those
Mhm.
are cool. And so you're right, they're a bit more like tech space. But there is, I don't know if you see like there's this rise of fashion tech. Maybe it's just with New York Fashion Week going on. So it's if integrating tech into your culture and your fashion is the way you want to pull it off, it's like it's futuristic. It's like maybe it's again the AI coming in. It's like you can kind of look like a robot, I guess. Maybe that's a way to put it.
Yeah.
So I think, and like everyone wants as well, Garmin and Strava getting all over this. Great. Strava's been on the run since, well, forever. And so I think having these, like going to Run Club, having these Swish glasses where you're getting data, it can also mean leniency against maybe not wearing your Apple or your Garmin. Like you can pick and choose what you're wearing as your wearable. And then it just helps and gets more extra data. Like we also talk about the fact that everyone wants more data. They also need to understand how to use that data. But the better data and the more accurate it gets, the more you can change the way you run or the way like your gait stance and etc.
Yeah, no, totally true. Yeah, I'm sure as they, like I said, as they build this out, they're going to be able to really understand what the levers to like actuate the data, or like what do you use it as like a runner or as a performer or whatever. So, yeah, yeah, really cool. Yeah, and you said at the beginning too, interesting. Thought the rollout was cool. Definitely. Yeah, I mean they just do such a good job over there of like of optimizing the content and kind of what the visuals are. So
Yeah.
to see this. Hopefully, I think they're doing pre-orders now, so would love to get my hands on a couple of these and test these out.
I've tried the I know it's a little different, but I've tried the form goggles, the form
Yeah,
goggles.
form swim, like the swim ones.
Yeah, and you can like see. I mean, there's one part of me is also like about like the seeing like stats and data in like the corner of your eye does throw you off a little. I wonder with athletes doing that, like how much you're focused, and then if you're seeing your stats and data, like you may be throwing yourself off without realizing it. So I think they're really cool, but and I think it's obviously where we're heading. But I'm curious how athletes will implement it as well.
Yeah, I know. I always think about that as like an Iron Man thing, right? When you're like in the suit and you're seeing all these things pop up, which is super cool, which feels like the future of where we're going, right? You're going to have one thing that you wear all the time and you're just going to see phone calls and data and all these different things. But yeah, I would agree. I've never checked out the form ones, but I always thought about that swimming. You're already kind of like battling yourself, and then if you see something out of the corner of your eye, like what is that? Yeah.
Exactly. Like to be fair, actually, now I'm thinking about it. If I got all my notifications and phone calls on the corner of my like eye, I would be like very distracted. I'd be standing in the middle of like wherever just stopped, like, oh, I need to check these.
Yeah. You would just be you would just be staring into space, right? Into your glasses, being like, what am I?
Very dystopian, very weird, but it is the future probably, so we shall prepare.
A little bit, yeah. It does feel dystopian in a way, like very Futurama-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is crazy. So the next, I guess, kind of big one, or not big one, the other like topic that we saw out there was HPE. The Ryder Cup's coming up here, Bethpage, in about a week or so. Since you're born outside the state, do you care who wins the Ryder Cup? Is that like a
Not really.
Okay.
Really.
Okay. I do, but I don't. I mean, honestly, it's just like one of those fun events where you get to kind of root for your country. You get to, but Rory and other people that I love are on the other side, so which is always tough. So
yeah, they're very See, Rory number one, obviously for sure, because my parents grew up like watching that, so they love that stuff.
Okay. Very cool. For the 2025 Ryder Cup, HPE is partnering with them to bring AI integrations, which is pretty cool. So they've got this like hybrid cloud solution, which is built on the HPE Aruba network, which essentially will help them build out. If you've ever been to a golf event, you have all these like tents and VIP areas. So all of that will be done through HPE and their AI network. Which is super sick. And I think people sometimes don't realize like all the things that go into networking and all the things behind the scenes. So incredibly cool to kind of see this. The system is going to provide visibility, security, and real-time optimization, ensuring fans and staff enjoy a seamless experience as they move throughout the 1,500-acre venue. So, what do you think about this one? And to your point, what are your thoughts on the Ryder Cup?
Yeah, so I've been reading a lot about new AI tech integrations in golf because it's it's a very different sport compared to your one stadium like football, soccer, where the AI can be all in one place because it does have to move as the athlete moves. And so I think the other flip side is I'm seeing so many more people get involved in making fan experience better. there's something interesting there about people wanting to make that stronger and better. And golf is one of those things where I always put it as like a very classy top tier sport. Very spectators are very like, you're calm. It's not like football. Everyone's going crazy. And so making the experience better and optimizing the systems in place is probably something that's probably overdue. They've probably had many situations in past where people in high places are like, this is ridiculous, the systems. So creating another platform where they can network better, understand it's going to be a much more smoother process, which overall means the consumer's happy and they'll come back again. I think it's just solving problems one day at a time. And in something like golf, where if it's a really hot day outside and services and things aren't working, you can probably get flustered easily as a consumer. So simplifying that is probably one of their better solutions. What do you think?
Yeah, and this is one of those too that gets rowdy, where a lot of golf, to your point, is like there's a certain experience that you're kind of expecting, and so this one's a little different. And yeah, I think you said that really well there, where you want this to be like a super seamless experience, right? So if people are coming in and they're drinking a ton, or they're looking for the certain VIP or certain fan engagement kind of thing there, you want that to be done very well, and obviously kind of looped into one kind of network. We've seen at others, right, where the networks crash or they run out of alcohol, or all these type of things happen, right? And so being as prepared as you can be is huge in that. And obviously having the fact that there's AI now and all these different integrations that kind of can help you do that is really cool. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes for HPE there. And to your point, kind of making that, I mean, that's the big thing, right? Fan engagement from an experience perspective. Like, how do you make it something that people are not only memorable, but it's like, oh, I can't wait to go back to that, or can't wait to have that same experience.
Exactly. And I'm curious as well how the operations management and staff and like how they feel about this product and how they use it, because it's simplifying their processes at the end of the day. It's helping the consumer on the flip side, but it's making like, instead of the communication being probably very, very scattered, or you never know if the networks break up in the middle of like the day. And so I think it'll be interesting how they implement the process and the system, and then make sure it works so that the consumer, it is a seamless like experience. And obviously chaos always happens, and it's half the time the consumers don't even realize it's happening, but the operations staff would know. So it'll be interesting to hear maybe feedback from them on like what went well, what didn't go well, and if that made their jobs a bit more easier and manageable on the day.
Yeah, totally agree. So be on the lookout for this. If you go to Bethpage, or if you're just kind of watching from your couch, what is going on in the background here? Again, this is through HPE and their Aruba Network Solutions. I'll not pause, but let's so I'll hit mine really quickly, and I'll give you the floor for Miami. It's weird. Indiana is still ranked. We play Illinois this weekend. It's one of those weird things as we get into college football of like, I think it's tough because we like when you don't have these big tests and all of a sudden you got a big game like mid-September, it's tough to know what's kind of coming. So personally, probably a little more stressed than you are over there, knowing to your point that Florida's already lost a couple games and has not looked great. So we'll see. So we'll see if I'll be as happy next time we jump on a pod about where Indiana is after this game against Illinois. But game day for you. Miami's 3-0. What's it been like down there? As the feel, does it feel like, oh, this is like Miami's coming back to its glory days? Like what's kind of like on campus, off campus? What's the thought process?
On campus right now is electric. Firstly, I met Peter and Kirk today from game day staff. That was awesome. If you go into campus, like the whole game day setup is on campus. We've got ACC huddle. This is the first time I also think like our student tickets sold out within like 20 minutes. This is the first time the student fan base, which is a very difficult challenge here, is finally engaged. And so to feel like there's really good vibes on campus, I think there's also like that we know we're going to win. I hope that doesn't come back to bite me in the butt, but whatever.
Yeah.
There's good feelings everywhere. Everyone's excited. It's UF in Miami. It's the fight for who owns Miami or Florida itself. And so having game day here is awesome. It's been great. I know everyone is lining up tonight at like 3 a.m. this morning to get into the pit, which will be interesting. I will not be there. I will be working. And then going straight to Hard Rock later for a night game, UF. I think the stadium will be electric. We had Notre Dame as our first home opener, and that was electric, but I think it'll be a different vibe tomorrow. I know it's a whiteout in our stadium. I've never experienced anything like this. Like growing up in Canada, we don't have this, but I'm super excited. I'll be on the sidelines. I'll be taking like photos and working, and it'd be awesome.
Yeah, can't wait to see those. Yeah, it's I've tried to explain it to my girlfriend from the West Coast. So like she does not understand this fanfare and everything that happens within college football. And it is. I can't wait for you to experience like, a whiteout and like what that all brings in a night game. It's exciting. And so it's tough to not feel overly confident, like I said, because Florida's been not great here to start, but you never know. They have 5 stars on the other side, but I agree. You said something that's huge. This is the like one thing I think Mario Cristobal's done really well is recruit Florida.
Yeah.
And you have to do that when you're going to bring some semblance of like the glory days of Miami back. And this will go a long way into ensuring that kind of continues.
Agreed. And like last year, we had Cam Ward as our quarterback, and I think that was our star player. Whereas this year, it feels a lot more like the team itself is the star player. Like whilst Carson Beck is great and our receivers are great and our defense is great, it feels more like the team is winning together versus one person being the star of the show. It's everyone, and that's a different vibe. I know Cam Ward was great last year and the vibes were awesome, but this is different because it feels like the team culture has changed a bit and it's the team's winning. The team is the one pushing for each game.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's always tough when you have, obviously Cam was the number 1 pick last year. So, and he was able to do so much to kind of propel the team. And I think, again, just to that recruiting, I think they were able to recruit kind of around the periphery a little bit to kind of fill some gaps. And now the team, you guys look really good. I'm not shocked. I think it's always good when Miami is really good, right, for the landscape of college football, but it was cool to kind of see there. So, I'm excited for you. Can't wait to, if people want to find, if you got some content out there, where can people kind of find you at and some of the content you're going to be putting out there?
You can find it on my Instagram, or I can send it obviously to the Seed Talk and we can do a little day in my life type of thing. Cause I think tomorrow's going to be awesome. So I'm planning to film everything.
We'll talk through that. That would be kind of cool to kind of do. So, because like I said, excited for you. We'll see tomorrow for Miami and Florida, and then if you want to flip over Indiana, Illinois on NBC 7 Eastern,
maybe
big game for the Hoosiers there. We got a few things that kind of round us out here in terms of just kind of fundraising. I'll kind of start with the top one's interesting, right? CVC Capital forming that $14 billion global sports group fund. They've already kind of infused and done some debt around some of the premier leagues, but I know you do a little bit of this as well in terms of some deal flow. What are you seeing out there in terms of like, obviously women's sports has been so big here, but just in terms of like league raises and all the things that are going on, anything to kind of add there as we see CVC and then X Ventures also kind of closing their next fund to kind of go after sports teams and leagues?
Yeah, so I'm hearing a lot of chatter on NBA Europe and what's coming there. And so there's a chatter of, okay, this is a possibility that's going to happen. What leagues are going to get started? We don't know the format entirely yet, but I know investors are already kind of preparing funds and building up funds to go and buy teams over there and set themselves up for success to compete against our giants in this country. So that's mainly the chatter I'm hearing is like the expansion, even just expansion across the globe itself. People are talking about like how to get leagues. Like I know the NFL is doing more games over across seas, but how to do more and then build out there. So take the US market and try to like replicate it across seas with obviously US money and investors. So it's interesting. I'm curious to see how it's going to go, especially with emerging leagues. Like I think every time I look at news, there's a new league doing pickleball or paddle or basketball. And I think it's interesting. There's a little bit too many. I think that some of them will sadly fail and we need to start realizing that. But the right ones that get invested in, I think will be doing quite well.
Well said on all that. I think there's so much coming down the pipeline here. NBA, Europe, obviously, there's been a few names floated out there already, but yeah, that's going to be an incredibly interesting expansion. And then, yeah, there's all these leagues. To your point, I think what CVC specific is kind of doing is kind of getting ready for like to take on some of the debt that a lot of these teams and leagues are going to be taking on. To your point, it's great to pop up all these different ones, but at some point it becomes oversaturated, right? And so what happens kind of next? And yeah, I'm interested as well in how that kind of occurs, how people kind of deploy some of these funds, and then what essentially like in the next 5-10 years, like what are the big four, and then some of the other leagues that people kind of are really excited about. So yeah, will be interesting to kind of see moving forward here.
I think we're in just in general, a really fascinating time with sports because it's not even just at the pro level. We talk about the college level a lot and how NIL has changed the landscape entirely, and even having discussions about, okay, obviously the rev generating sports are now getting paid. What does that look like in 5 to 10 years? We have maybe a situation where there's no Olympic sports, or that the NCAA becomes its own entity and that's how players get paid, and you actually remove the university part. So I think there's a huge shift about to happen in sports. Maybe we in the US switch to more of like an EPL, the European League type of situation with academies here. So I think it's a matter of time before this gray area turns a bit more like clear and we understand where we're heading.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, that's the tough thing, I think, right? Of thinking about like where it is a little bit of a gray area, right? Of like how things are kind of maneuvering and where things are going. So, yeah, it will be really interesting to as what sports and kind of like what a viewership from like a Gen Z, Gen Alpha perspective kind of pushes forward as well, and like how that kind of all looks. So, yeah, it'll be, I don't know. It's interesting when you see things like that, when you're like, wow, 14 billion, you're like, okay, well, obviously they know a little bit more than we do, right? And what's kind of coming and where they're trying to move some funds. But you see this kind of popping up everywhere, right? I mean, we don't have it kind of like highlighted, but like Lake Como, their team essentially creating their own fund with their like innovation kind of summit, right? Or kind of like technology kind of thing, right? Very similar to maybe a Launchpad, which we'll talk to in a second, or what MLS did with their technology showcase, and kind of rolling it all into one. And so I think you're going to see more of that, right? As like leagues and teams figure out where their standing is, like, okay, we'll keep all this stuff for ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Which is going to be kind of interesting here moving forward.
It will be. It's such an interesting climate. I'm excited. I know like it's a very gray area in some areas, but I think it's cool, and I think they're still figuring out. A lot of people don't understand or don't know where we should go because there's a lot of money flowing in. Where should that be allocated to? And then it's also a really cool discussion because now we're also having the discussion of players should be investing in things. Players should be building equity outside of their sports. And this is like the perfect time to get involved and get started in that space, which excites me because that's exactly what I love talking about and helping players realize. So I'm excited to see where it's going to go. But the funds being raised recently is definitely an indicator that we're about to move into another boom of leagues and something that could be coming.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, and great point about the athlete perspective, right? Like trying to get athletes into the right avenues and see them as these investment vehicles is like a huge thing right now. So, and as we say that, actually, former NFL stars John Elway, Tim Tebow, and Blake Bortles teamed up with Chick-fil-A and Magnolia Hill Partners to launch Momenta Sports, which is a new investment firm targeting sports and real estate. Real estate's also becoming like this bigger play, right?
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy to see like sports entities going after it. But I do think that's like I don't even say next wave. I just think it's like a really smart thing to go get real estate, either to develop on your own commercially or to make it into like a sports complex or kind of a multi kind of use thing.
Yeah, because we're seeing that, like, I call it the Disney World of sports, the buying property to make not just your stadium, but we see it with Inter Miami, like this community of experience of like sport learning skills, the whole bundle. So I think it's cool that they're buying real estate. It just means like it's like Disneyland for sports, really.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, because you can use it for so many things. And to your point, when you get people into your I always say ethos, right? When you get people in one place and you're able to like affect so many things there, from their buying habits, like all the fan engagement things, like you can just really kind of push, and obviously it's all yours, which is pretty interesting. So we'll round it out. We were able to highlight Launchpad. Really, what they did in Summer League, they had their big event at Summer League. So the 5th iteration of Launchpad applications are open for the 26 program, opening from September 15th through October 17th. You can apply directly on the official Launchpad website, which is launchpad.nba.com/apply. They are looking for 3 different really pillars, kind of from or actually I think it's like 5. But yeah, essentially I think it's fan engagement, data and visualizations, on court, and then some of the things from an off court perspective that are going to help athletes from a data perspective. And then I think the last one is open, right? Of like anything that they think is going to impact the NBA. So, anything to add here on NBA Launchpad?
Nothing crazy, more that this is a cool program, and I think that more leagues should implement that as well, because at the end of the day, if they're good startups and they're well kind of created founders, then they can not only help the players and everyone around that, but they have the support of the NBA. So I hope we see that implemented into more leagues.
Agreed. And yeah, like we just said, right, with like Como, I think you're going to see even more teams doing this, right? Not just like leagues, because then leagues are then deploying it down. It's kind of a downstream thing to the teams. I think you're going to see teams kind of upstream this into like, hey, we want to, like, every stadium, every team is not going to be built the same, right? Like the Warriors are different than the Pelicans, and so what they need in New Orleans is different than what Golden State needs. And I think that's going to be, just a big thing that teams are kind of looking for moving forward. So
agreed. Cool.
Well, that rounds us out for today on the Seed Talk podcast. A little quick one here on 9/19. Neve, tell them where to find you from a social perspective.
Yeah, so you can find me at NEVE__Clark on Instagram.
Nice. And continue to rate, subscribe, follow us across all the socials: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Threads now becoming even bigger, which is super cool. And we'll see you in the next edition of the Seed Talk podcast.